Today I will show you a sci-fi, mystery, romance film from 2021, titled Reminiscence. In the near future, climate change has caused the water level to rise and flood cities. Extreme daytime temperatures have forced most of the population to live at night. Since the waters rose and the wars broke out, there wasn't much to look forward to. For Nick Bannister and his friend Emily Watts, that became a way of life. They started a business that allows people to relive memories, called Tank. Both are ex-soldiers. His acquaintance from the army, Hank, uses it. In a soothing voice, Nick immerses him in a sunny day 13 years ago. The memory is displayed as a hologram with auditory effects. To the person, it feels like real life itself. Nick's inner voice describes that this is like a drug, a reunion with a loved one, reliving the most meaningful moments of their life. If you're not careful, the memories will consume you. They are stored in small flash drives. Just as they are about to close for the night, a walk-in customer, May, asks for their help finding her missing keys. Nick is immediately attracted to her and decides to help her. He gives her the sedative and she gets ready to get in the tank. He begins to observe her memories of her morning routine. He can even see detailed things in her room. Watts notices that she puts the keys in her bag and drops them in the dressing room, but he continues with the memory anyway. Nick learns she is a nightclub singer, and feels a connection with her as she sings his favorite song, Where or When. When May leaves, they discover that she forgot her earrings. When the sun rises, Miami turns into a ghost town. Sleep doesn't come easily. At night, the city is alive again. Nick offers tank services to the DA's office. When a rich land baron gets off scot-free because he's sick, Nick narrates that the whole city is filled with corruption. He visits the nightclub from May's memory. She sings and they look into each other's eyes, and he toasts to her. Later, he gives back her earrings. They talk a bit. She tells him about her fondest memory of a house in the middle of nowhere, and he escorts her to her flat. There they finally unleash their desires and have an intimate moment. They continue their conversation on the rooftop, where he tells May that memories are like perfume, better in small doses. They kiss and she tells him that maybe he does not have the right memories yet. At that moment, the picture blurs for Nick and he wakes up in the tank. Watts is furious that Nick is in there again. He has been doing this for months, reliving every memory he has of May. May has disappeared without a word, and Nick hopes to find a clue to her whereabouts in his memories of her. He spends hours reliving his memories of their relationship over and over, a dangerous practice that could keep him trapped there forever. Watts tells him he has to let her go and concentrate on their business. It declines. Even their regular customer Elsa stops coming. Nick comes home and sketches memories in his journal, because even after all this time, he cannot get May out of his mind. He visits the club where she used to work, asks her friends for clues, but no leads. He's obsessed with her. Eventually he gives himself a sedative and goes back to his memories, where all he does is spend his time with May. He is awakened by an alarm clock Watts has set for him. Someone is pounding on the door, but he yells they are closed. When he comes out, he finds May's earring in the water. When Watts learns about the earring, she thinks it's probably been lost there for a long time now. District Attorney Avery Castillo assigns Nick and Watts to retrieve the memories of a comatose suspect who worked for a drug kingpin named St. Joe in New Orleans. 12 hours later, they still have not gotten any results. The reason is that dying subjects always want closure, a happy thought. Nick changes his approach and the projector turns on. In the man's memories they see the suspect. Nick also sees May. She was once at St. Joe's Club. The memory is from 5 years ago. Even though they are there for a different reason, Nick draws his attention to her. She had tried baka for the first time, a highly addictive narcotic. The prosecutor takes the microphone away from him and asks a question that the comatose suspect cannot remember and goes into shock. Nick takes the microphone from him again and calms him down. He's still focused on May, asking when the last time he saw her was. Nick is devastated to learn that May became an addict and St. Joe's mistress. The memories also reveal that May stole St. Joe's stash of baka before fleeing town. Watts already knew that May was a junkie. Nick leaves. To learn more about May, he travels to New Orleans. He finds St. Joe's Club and gains entry under a false name. Nick confronts him, but Joe quickly finds out that he is not who he claims to be. Joe tortures him and he admits that he is there to find May. Joe hasn't seen her since she stole from him and orders his henchmen to drown him. When Nick thinks it's all over, he notices a body flying in. It's Watts. She's come to help him. A shootout ensues. Watts manages to take out a few henchmen and shoot at the water tank. She was actually aiming for Joe. Joe grabs his trusty dualies and fires at Watts, but misses at point-blank range. Nick manages to subdue the guy holding him and prescribe him some medicine. Watts takes care of St. Joe. Back in Miami, Nick has Watts relive her last encounter with May. He believes May took something from him. He suspects she was toying with him from the beginning. At the time, May opened up about her addiction to baka and had a long conversation about her and Watt's life. She wakes up and Nick is furious with her. She apologizes for keeping it from him, but he's angry not because of that, but because she got drunk and let her walk into the vault. Watts argues that even with the stolen keys, she could not have known the code. It's not a code, it's a melody. She's been studying Nick for months. They discover that May stole recordings of Elsa Karina, a customer who has relived her meeting a rich lover over and over. Nick visits a food market, where he asks if anyone has seen Elsa by showing them her picture. One of the owners points out a girl who might have information. She runs away and he runs after her. He manages to catch up with her and calm her down. From her, Nick learns that Elsa was recently murdered and her young son was kidnapped by a woman matching May's description. He begins to wonder who May really was. While searching for May, he is attacked and the man tells Nick to forget about May. Back at his studio, they replayed the memory a few times, looking for clues, and found out that the man who had attacked him was Cyrus, the corrupt cop who worked for St. Joe. The sick land baron had recently died. People hoped the court would break his monopoly, but his widow and son will inherit everything. This is when Nick begins to make sense of things. Cyrus had been working for the land baron. He replays his memory of watching Elsa's memory. He recognizes the voice from somewhere. He replays Tamara's memory and finds out that the land baron was having an affair with Elsa, with whom she had a son, a potential heir to his fortune. Nick's theory is that he sent Cyrus with May to get rid of any evidence of the land baron's infidelity. So if he finds Cyrus, he will find May. Watts tries to explain to him that his love was fake and he succumbed to it. He fires Watts and tells her that she would be better off without him, but she begs him not to go down that road, that he is obsessed. Nick tells her she has to go and grabs his gun. His target is the widow, Tamara. She lives in the dry lands, the land of the rich. The butler lets him in and tells him he is an hour late. The house is swarming with people dressed in the same clothes, but it turns out the butler thinks he is one of the people performing for Tamara today, dressed as her deceased husband. Tamara's memory is damaged from using the tank too much. Nick confronts her and she points out a place where Cyrus and May could be hiding. The guards throw him out and pretend to shoot him. After seeing a mark saying he served, they let him go. Then he buys a boat and goes to the old recycling plants. He notices May and follows her. It turns out it's not May, but he found Cyrus. He tells him that the song she sang in her memory where or when was no accident. She wanted him to see it. She researched him and fooled him. Cyrus jumps out the window and gets to a lower floor where Nick follows him. He finds him and they fight with no one coming on top. As they fight in a music room, Cyrus nearly drowns before Nick can subdue him, but he leaps in and helps him free himself, only to be left to drown himself. Cyrus reminisces memories of May with her earring in his hand. Nick manages to sedate him and takes him back to his office, where he hooks him up to the tank to see his memories. Before Cyrus passes out, he tells him that the truth about May will tear him apart. He sees Cyrus's first encounter with May. Also that she had found Nick's acquaintance Hank. He told her about the song. Cyrus's memories reveal that the basis of May's relationship with Nick was a lie. After he had enlisted her into a plan to deceive Nick, she researched him to learn how to better seduce him and orchestrated the loss of her keys. But the memories also reveal that May genuinely loved Nick. When Cyrus murdered Elsa, May took Elsa's son and fled with him to an unknown location. Nick then tells him that she escaped him and Cyrus goes into shock, implying that this did not happen, that she did not escape. In a shaky voice, Nick calms him down. May was knocking on Nick's door, but he yells that they are closed from within. Cyrus grabs her, she drops her earring and they drive off, with her saying she loves Nick. She came back for Nick. He then asks Cyrus what he did to her. Nick observes the memory as May gives a speech to Cyrus, which is actually meant for him. She indirectly reveals the whereabouts of Elsa's son to him and confesses her sincere love for Nick. Then, seeing only one way out of her situation, May takes a lethal dose of baka and jumps to her death from a balcony. Nick is devastated. Out of rage, Nick forces Cyrus to relive his worst memory. When the men of St. Joe's burned his face as punishment for skimming the profits, Nick burns that memory into him so that he can never recover from it. Just like Tamara, he goes to confront Land Baron's legitimate son, Sebastian, who has hired Cyrus to eliminate Elsa and his half-brother to protect his inheritance. Tamara mentioned it before. Cyrus' memory also revealed the missing details, plus he has his phone. He has revealed that his half-brother is still alive and the police have already found him, and it will not be long before the cops piece everything together. They'll be here soon. Sebastian grabs Nick's gun, but Nick is unfazed. The kid does not have the balls. Sebastian wants to take his own life, but once again he changes his mind and is later arrested. Nick visits Watts, apologizing to her and calling her his only friend who has always been there for him. Nick confesses to Watts that he intentionally burned Cyrus' memories, a serious crime. The town quickly responded to the land baron's crimes and a revolution ensued. Nick is convicted and then allowed to serve his sentence by using his machine to relive his time with May, which is implied to be the rest of his life. In his memory, Nick tells May a shortened version of the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, which ends with the lovers reunited and happy.